You know the legend. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier, the Alamo's dauntless champion, rifle gripped tight, battling to his final gasp. But what if the reality is far more bizarre, that the figure behind the fable was a consummate strategist controlling his persona, his adversaries, even his own demise? This is the narrative they concealed, the account of a destitute failure who outmaneuvered America's mightiest president, a decorated soldier who hired a substitute to wage war for him, a statesman who fabricated his memoir to peddle deceit, and that emblematic final resistance at the Alamo. The specifics defy logic. Was he a sacrifice or a fugitive fleeing shame? Why did Andrew Jackson pledge to annihilate him? How did an obscure backwoods figure transform into a sensation, then disappear amid gunsmoke and enigma? What truth lay in his last murmurs before the Alamo fell? Dismiss the fables. This is the Davy Crockett history overlooked, the one poised to astonish. Davy arrived in 1786 within Greene County, North Carolina, though presently Tennessee, the territory then answered to North Carolina. His father, John, managed a grist mill until deluges destroyed both the mill and their dwelling. By 1795, fiscal collapse compelled John to declare bankruptcy. The family's plight worsened so severely that John contracted his son out to Jacob Sealer. Reared in isolated wilds, young Davy missed schooling, partly from defiance and truancy when enrolled. Instead, an educated neighbor delivered 100 days of instruction. John tried forcing the boy back to class, but Davy, fiercely self-reliant, departed to carve his own destiny. In adolescence, Crockett found sporadic work as a farmhand or cattle driver. Ultimately, he came home to assist his father in resolving obligations. Davy Crockett bucked norms, a tendency visible in his amorous ventures. Working John Kennedy's property, he grew fond of Kennedy's niece, Amy Summer. A predicament emerged. She was pledged to Kennedy's son. Unfazed, Crockett convinced a wedding guest to marry him, only for her to select a different suitor. Davy later married Polly Finley, disregarding her kin's disapproval. They reared 3 offspring, including a boy who later represented Tennessee in Congress. Sadly, Polly died in 1815. Crockett next wed Elizabeth Patton, a widow, fathering 3 further children. Like numerous notable personalities of his time, Crockett's civic life commenced through military service. In 1813, Creek fighters assaulted Fort Mims in modern Alabama, slaughtering almost all occupants. This atrocity ignited backing for the Creek War, a complex conflict between opposing Creek factions. American troops allied with Lower Creeks under Andrew Jackson, while Red Stick Creeks gained British and Spanish support. Crockett joined Tennessee's militia and experienced combat. Subsequently, he confessed favoring Alabama hunts over fighting native tribes. Nevertheless, he remained enlisted under Jackson until becoming disenchanted. He ultimately paid a replacement, an impoverished worker, to serve his military duty until release in 1815. Though flawed, Crockett's Army tenure spurred his pursuit of public office. He served as a commissioner, helping survey boundaries for Tennessee's newly established Lawrence County. This catalyzed his rapid climb in local administration. By 1817, he was appointed Justice of the Peace. 1 year later, he attained lieutenant colonel rank in Tennessee's 57th Militia Regiment. After succeeding in private enterprises, he returned to politics in 1821. Representing Lawrence and Hickman counties in Tennessee's legislature, his agenda mirrored his father John's struggles sustaining a frontier family. He advocated populist initiatives and opposed excessive taxation of poor settlers. These positions won fervent backing from small farmers and workers, statewide but also fierce enemies. These rivals would later engineer his political undoing. Crockett's ascent from anonymity to national fame was remarkable, though his career weathered instability. He campaigned repeatedly for the U.S. House. After failing in 1825, he secured consecutive terms in 1827 and 1829. Defeat came in 1831 against William Fitzgerald. Persistent, he regained his seat in 1833, narrowly defeating Fitzgerald, only to lose overwhelmingly to Adam Huntsman in 1835. While competent legislatively, Crockett heavily invested in cultivating his image, publishing memoirs and giving speeches glorifying his rugged, charismatic pioneer persona. In 1834, Crockett released an autobiography titled The Life of David Crockett, ostensibly penned by his own hand. This assertion, however, proved misleading. The text was co-authored with Thomas Chilton, a Kentucky congressman and political collaborator. The account highlighted Crockett's frontier exploits while downplaying his congressional record and business accomplishments. Though popular in Tennessee, his political aims were ultimately thwarted by Andrew Jackson's faction. Jackson cast a long shadow over Tennessee's governance. Having cemented his renown as a military commander, the future president additionally co-established Memphis. Frictions with Jackson's allies commenced in 1821 when Crockett endorsed Whig contender William Carroll against Edward Ward for governor. Initially, the risk paid off. Carroll prevailed and compensated Crockett. Yet, Jackson never pardoned the disloyalty by his erstwhile subordinate. The rift deepened in 1823 when Crockett bested Jackson's nephew-in-law, William Edward Butler, for a state legislature position. Oblivious to Jackson's lasting bitterness, Crockett misjudged his adversary's reach. By 1824, Jackson mounted his inaugural presidential run. Despite securing the popular vote and electoral majority, John Quincy Adams clinched the presidency. Crockett's respite proved fleeting. Jackson routed Adams in 1828. Crockett fervently supported settlers occupying federally held territory in western Tennessee. His anti-Jackson posture allied him with the Whig Party. He even advocated shuttering West Point, contending it unduly favored aristocrats. His most ethical stand was resisting Jackson's 1830 Indian Removal Act, the solitary Tennessee representative to dissent. While Cherokee nations lauded his rebellion, numerous Tennessee electors balked, fueling his 1831 electoral defeat. Vanquished and directionless, Crockett confronted ambiguity. Texas's statehood quest captivated Crockett. He pledged to allies that if Martin Van Buren, Jackson's protege, captured the 1836 election, he'd leave for Texas to ignite an uprising. When Van Buren, nicknamed the Little Magician, emerged victorious, Crockett honored his oath. As he told a reporter, "I notified my voters I'd represent them faithfully, but if spurned, they might go to hell. I'd head to Texas." Harnessing his magnetism, Crockett mobilized recruits for Texas's freedom struggle, even orating at Madison County's courthouse amid backers. Crowds assembled for his impassioned pro-Texas oration. By early 1836, he arrived in Texas, pledging fealty to its interim regime. His signed vow stated, "I've sworn loyalty," and enrolled as a volunteer, shortly advancing toward the Rio Grande with American enlistees. On February 8th, he entered the Alamo mission in San Antonio. The location was crucial to the nascent Texas Republic's defensive scheme. Initially a Spanish church, it had transformed into a garrison stronghold during conflicts with Apache attackers. Ceded from Spain to Mexico in 1821, the Alamo was captured by Texan insurgents in 1835. A fortnight after Crockett's appearance, Mexican General Santa Anna's forces encircled the fortress. The garrison, surprised, withstood a blockade by Santa Anna's superior army. Mexican soldiers met scorching opposition, yet gradually advanced under cannon fire. Crockett and his unit battled fiercely. He commanded attacks on 4 enemy-occupied cabins nearby, driving back assaults with point-blank fighting and Alamo artillery. A subsequent counteroffensive briefly prevailed, yet optimism waned as reinforcement pleas met silence. After 13 days besieged, Santa Anna's climactic attack concluded the Alamo's defiance in 90 minutes. Crockett died amid the turmoil. Reports diverge. Some state he fell in a courageous last battle. Others allege he yielded and faced immediate execution. Whatever transpired, Davy perished that dawn, his remains burned with fellow fighters. His ashes' ultimate location stays unknown. As the siege's most celebrated loss, he emerged an emblem of Texas' victorious independence struggle. Davy's likeness, featuring his trademark raccoon skin cap, ubiquitous among wilderness hunters, mesmerized generations of American children. His myth as the archetypal hardy frontiersman endures as a cultural icon. Reared on the borderlands and adept at tracking, this image contained kernels of reality. Yet he was also astute, deliberately forging that persona to further political and financial goals. His death, striving to push America's boundaries while molding Texas, seems grimly appropriate. The lawmaker's theatrical end solidified his legend, eternally enshrining him as a martyr of growth and liberty. So who was Davy Crockett? A sacrificial champion, a shrewd self-promoter, or a blend? He died at the Alamo, or did he? Mexicans insisted he surrendered. Defenders vowed he battled on. But here's the certainty. Davy's corpse vanished, mere ashes scattered. Consider, why would a man whose legend prized truth falsify his life story? Why flee to Texas ruined? Was the Alamo a noble sacrifice or a final bid to reshape his tale? The man titled King of the Wild Frontier grasped one reality. History isn't penned by the valiant, it's penned by those who endure. And Davy Crockett? He left no living witnesses to recount his reality. Share your view below. Hero or imposter, martyr or legend weaver. And if you still ponder how a broke dropout outmaneuvered a president, perhaps you've misjudged Davy Crockett all along.